What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Again, I am Kyle at Limitless Power Sports Service and Repair. In the last video, we went over the charging system on this 2015 MSU 700 Massimo motor by Hisun. You know, if you guys watch any of the other ones, you know the company makes multiple branded different things. We got a little ahead of ourselves on that one by pulling the rotor off, the one-way, the gearing, the starter gear, and all that stuff. So again, it's really simple. You know, remember, you have to go ahead and you'll pull the flywheel off with your flywheel puller, and you cannot get this off until you remove this little guy right here out of there, and then this will slide right off. And then you can also take out your gearing for your starter gear and all that. This thing here, I just stick back to the inside of that, slap this guy back in there. And like I said in the last video, you can see that thing spins good one way, locks the other. That's why it's a one-way bearing. So what I think I'm going to do a leak down test on this, and then we'll go ahead and start disassembling the top end, and we'll probably also take care of like the oil pump gear and all this other stuff over here for the transmission and the drive chain for the oil pump and all that. So we're going to go ahead and take all this apart after we check do a leak down test to see if we have any bad valves or if it's blowing through the crankcase, which we should be able to hear really good with the crankcase right here. All right, so what I'm going to use, I know it says compression kit tester, but you also use the hoses in this for leak down. There's a part number KA-2506. This is from Cornwell. I've had it for many, many years. And then my tester is just a cheapy from Kohler engines, from when I did some small engine stuff on lawnmowers. This one here, I don't care what it reads. I'm just listening for a blow by, and I slowly turn it up. You know, you usually have up to 100 PSI going into there, make sure it's really good, but I just slowly turn it up until if I hear anything. If not, great. So, biggest thing is you got to remember to take what they call the Schrader valve and a valve core out. When you do a leak down, do a compression test, you actually leave that in. So let's go ahead and pull the spark plug out of this thing. If I can figure out where I set all those at. Oh, yeah, it got water in it. Spark plugs kind of brown and foul, but again, this thing has set out in the weather after they had swapped the motor. So we'll take that guy out, and then we'll go ahead and match up the like the spark plug in itself. You see the size of the spark plug and all that to the adapters we have, which is probably going to be a 12 millimeter adapter. We'll just spin that on here like so. Hand tighten that. I know it's already at top dead center. I had previously did that, but we can double check. If you put it back on here, there is marks right here that say T for timing and all that good stuff. I had already previously set that on there, but we'll take a look down the cylinder to make sure. And we are at top dead center. All right, so I'm gonna start off by, I'm gonna go ahead and take all this stuff off here since we're already here. I'll have to give me access to get the timing chain out once that gets there. So what we gotta do, we go ahead and bend this tab back, take this nut off, take the circlip off here. That'll give us access to pull the gear off of the oil pump down here, and then we can pull all this apart. You gotta be careful, this does have a washer and a snap ring behind it, and then you have another washer. And then you can you'll be able to get this whole entire piece pulled out and pull the timing chain tensioners and all that stuff out too. Snap ring pliers that I'm going to use is from Snap-on. It's a PRH 406. I use these for most of my small engine stuff. You guys probably seen these in other videos. So we got the tab bent back. We broke that loose for impact. This is a locking tab. You got a spot to go in it there. And then we go ahead and slide that guy off, and then we'll slide this off together. We grab a pair of snap ring pliers here, and we'll go ahead and, my favorite part about these is squeeze and push, and boom, ready to go. Remember, when you take the snap ring off, don't stretch it out very far, just enough to get it past the edge of that, because you don't want to stretch this out, then you have to end up getting a new one. So we'll go ahead and pull these off in tandem. There's that one, off and down, and then now we got this one. Now one thing you got to remember also, that this has a Woodruff key back there, so don't lose that. That goes in that. So what we'll do, we're going to take all this stuff and we're going to put another Ziploc baggie, and that's where it's going to go. And then you have this washer and another big snap ring. So I'll grab a different set of snap ring pliers, transition those over. Got those. This is another washer. You gotta be careful here, because all this stuff, it will pull apart. All right, so all those springs and everything, that will come off of there. So this whole piece here actually gets pressed onto the crank. So in order to get that off, what I do for the cam chain, I just take this piece, I'll slide it back like that. Gives me access to loosen all that up. This will pull out the top end, and then the cam chain will come off like that. All right, now we got that stuff off of that side, we're gonna go ahead and start on the top end. First thing we need to do is take this oil line off of here. I believe it's a 14, an 8, and like a 15 over here. We'll take that, get that out of the way, go ahead and loosen up the valve cover, take out the timing chain tensioner, and that way loosen the timing chain up so we can pull the tensioners off, take it loose over there, and get that out. All right, so let's go on and take off this top one here. Let's see, that a 12? Yep, 12. 13 actually. Remember, this is gonna have 2 crush washers on it. Get rid of this 8 in the front. And then it's a 17mm over here on the side. Pop that loose. And that way, once this comes out, we'll just go ahead and put that back in. Well, it doesn't want to go back in. But anyways, we'll just spin that off to the side, tighten that back up for now. Actually, I'm just going to go ahead and take it all the way off. That way it's not in the way when we do pull the head. So now we're gonna go ahead and pull these guys off here. I think there might be a bolt that holds it in there. So I'm gonna take this guy off here, take a look, which is the intake valve cover. That's a 4, I need a 5. Yep, there's 2 right there that hold that in place. But somebody had totally stripped this one out, so let's try to get that out of here. Got it, there we go. All right, we're gonna go ahead and break all these loose. All right, so what I did, I used my impact driver on this, knocked in there a T40 Torx. We'll just have to get some new bolts for this guy. There's 2 of them now that are stripped out. But like I said, I could tell somebody's been in here. These were really, a lot of these were really, really loose. So now we're gonna go ahead and take our dead blow, where I set it at, way over here. We'll go ahead and try to knock this head a little bit loose. I shouldn't say head, valve cover. Woo, she is suction cup down on there good. Well, we'll just have to keep working it Not exactly how I want to do it, but it is what it is sometimes. There we go. Like I said, not how exactly I want to do it, but it is what it is. I prefer to use a dead blow, but it wasn't working. So we just knocked that bad boy a little loose. So what ones are stopping me from coming out now? There we go. You can see some of those are really, really long. Just set that down off to the side. Oh, I totally forgot to loosen the timing chain tensioner first. Whoops. Yeah, make sure before you do this, you guys, you loosen the timing chain tensioner. My brain wasn't here with that one. My fault on that. Take one out, and then I slowly back out the other side. Timing chain tensioner. That way we get some slack in there so it's not pulling at an odd angle like it just was. Slap that bad boy back in there. I'll put this one back in here in the front of the head. And then now we can just go ahead and take the timing chain, flip it over, take it off. You can see your compression releases here. Basically they go out and kick up this little ball bearing in and out right there. When they spread out, the ball bearing goes in, which lets compression build back into the cylinder. Before that, it holds it out. So now we can go ahead and grab the time chain tensioner guide. It actually looks pretty decent. The other one's going to be unbolted from over here and taken out. So we'll go ahead and do that real quick. Get this to flip down. There we go. Should be able to pull it out there. You can see where the timing chain tensioner's been pushing on that boy pretty good. It's a little wore, but not bad. But you can see timing chain tensioner's been on it, so that's actually, you can see the timing chain tensioner's been working, which is awesome. Go ahead and take the timing chain off. And I'm gonna go ahead and slap this back over the top. So hopefully we don't lose any springs come flying out. That's the biggest pain, is making sure those springs don't come flying out. There we go. So now we got that done, that off. Grab this other one here. Pull out of the back. Let's go ahead and grab the valve cover. We'll take a look at the lifters here. You can see there's a little bit of wear. Nothing you can really feel. You can just see where it's been wearing down. Tappets don't look too bad. So we know those are probably still good, so we can reuse that. Next, we're gonna go ahead and break these head bolts loose. I'm gonna stick both of these back in the side. Sorry if I'm blocking your view. That way we know where those go. Gotta yank the starter off the back side real quick. That way there's nothing sticking out or protruding through here. Gotta remove the oil cooler line out of the way. I shouldn't say oil cooler line, but oil line out of the way if I can find my wrench. Loosen that up, take this one out, take this guy, slide him back over, grab this other one. There. Set that off to the side. Go ahead and pull the starter out, which can be a pain in the tuchus. There's our starter. I'll go ahead and put the two back in the case halves again so I know where they came from. Just way easier to keep track of what's going on. All right, so like I was saying before, now we're gonna go ahead and pull these 4 motor mount bolts out. There is one on the underside and the back and the front, so we'll take those 2 out first. I believe those are look like 12 millimeters, possibly 10. So let me grab a wrench for that. Get this 5 millimeter over here in the back corner, which should have been the first one to go. I always want to go to the littlest, the biggest, but I overlooked it. And now the lovely head bolts. Usually when I crack these about a 1/4 turn each, a crisscross pattern. And then once we get them all broken out, then you can go ahead and just start zipping them out. There's that. Pull them out. They do have a washer on them. Make sure you keep the washers. You'll be able to tell what one's been on the outside, what one's been on the inside. I always try to put them back in the same. So we got those. Get that off my Scotch-Brite pack here. And then we'll grab a dead blow hammer. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and take off the rest of this coolant line here first. All right, anyways, go ahead and tap that, boom, done, knocked off, good. We're gonna go ahead and grab some rags, flip it over, let's take a look, see what we got going on here on the back side of this. Whoop, there goes my 5. It's a little burn up, valve don't look bad. Everything looks pretty good, a little carbon buildup, nothing horrible. So I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can't rotate. I mean, it's got a little rust in the cylinder, but the piston doesn't look bad. Head gasket doesn't look bad. I wonder if it was just smoking a little bit. I mean, the piston feels pretty darn good in there. The head looks really good. So, well, let's keep going and see what we got. We're gonna go ahead and pull the cylinder off this thing now. Why not? We'll just keep on going. Like I said, we're just gonna do a complete teardown, and we're gonna try to do a Amazon rebuild. So now we're gonna go ahead and break these loose. Watch out for your dowels right there. Those will go with the head. Like I said, I put it all in a Ziploc baggie so I know what's what. Let's grab the 12 again. Go ahead and zip all these out. I made another boo-boo by not taking the two 5mm off the side again. Well, I'm having a heck of a time with those. All right, these guys got washers on them too. And then we can just go ahead and tap this a little bit with our dead blow again, which it might be sealed a little bit tighter than the other one. Ooh, she's on there good too. Much as I don't like doing it with a solid hammer, sometimes don't really have too much of a choice, but boy, she does not want to come apart. There we go. Got to get that gasket ripped up and off of there. All right, there we go. Now, I don't know if this motor had any lower end noise or anything, but as far as the cylinder goes, you can see it's got a little bit of rust around the edges where water had sat in it from this thing being outside. Other than that, still great cross hatching in there. No issues on that at all. That looks really good. You could run a ball hone through there, 4-inch ball hone. Should be able to take all that rust out. If not, we can go ahead and take some Scotch-Brite, clean that up, clean up the gasket on the bottom of that, put the new O-ring in. But boy, this motor looks really, really good. Bottom end feels good. Piston doesn't look bad. The rings weren't stuck. So now we're just gonna go ahead and grab a little pick, pull out the circlip and the piston. Sorry if I'm gonna be a little bit in your way, probably. Let me go from the side here, because I gotta lean over to kind of get a look what's going on. There's a circlip out of the piston. Push the pin through, off the rod. And like I said, the piston looks really good, actually. Huh. Well, regardless, we're still gonna go ahead and put a new piston in it, rings, and all that. As far as the rod goes, no up and down, tiny bit of side to side. Of course, I can hear I'm hitting the balancer because it's not spinning with the crank, but that feels nice and smooth. So I don't know why the last shop said it was possibly blown up and why they did a motor swap, but hey, not a big deal. This gives us a nice, it's a nice video to shoot for you guys. Like I was saying, you know, the crank. Well, now I'm stuck on the balancer. All right, so my camera randomly shut off, said it was getting hot, which is odd. But like I was saying, I was checking the crank out, shining a light down in here. It doesn't look like it got hot. These cranks are always kind of a darker color. Side to side, barely any. Up and down, there is none. So I'm trying to figure out what these guys are talking about, a little bit of where the wrist pin was, why this was blown up. I'm not really seeing any signs of it, but again, we're just gonna tear the whole thing down anyways. So that'll end part 2 of the teardown of this 2015 MSU 700.